Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of my F1 23 My Team series. This is episode 17. We have made it to season 2 of this My Team series, and if you did miss the first season, we brought Brabham Racing to the midfield in our first season, returning the team back to the grid. We managed to get one win during the season, and that was around Monaco, our of all places. Max Verstappen and Red Bull claimed the championships as we now take a look at the 2024 grid. For ourselves, Brabham, after a strong season returning to sport, we've looked further into the pool of drivers from previous and current Red Bull drivers in the partnership with Red Bull, and have selected Alex Albon as our second driver. Alex's job at the team will be for him to help Brabham become a regular point scorer and develop the car further. And as you can see here, we've now stripped the paint off the car. We've gone for a black livery, black and yellow, yellow and black, however you want to take a look at it. I reckon it looks pretty sweet, with a little bit of a white added on there too, and Monsoon Valley and also AWS onto the car. Now, Red Bull go under a big change over the off-season, with Oracle deciding to split duties as title sponsors for their team, with Tag Heuer stepping up as a joint title sponsor with Oracle. Reigning world champion Max Verstappen will remain at the team alongside Sergio Perez with an unchanged lineup as they attempt to retain the Constructors' title. And now to Ferrari is another team to have an unchanged driver lineup as they retain Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. After finishing second in the Constructors' Championship, they'll be looking forward to try and bridge those 12 points they narrowly missed the Constructors by to claim another championship. And as we now head to the next team on the grid, it is Mercedes, as they retain their driver lineup as well, with Lewis Hamilton, George Russell. After both drivers had a strong 2023 season, they will be open this season that both drivers at the end of the championship can still be in contention, and they will be hopefully able to jump Ferrari and the Constructors. And now Alpine once again will have a all-French lineup with Ocon and Pierre Gasly, and I hope for them to improve their position in the midfield after both of their drivers had a lot of actual promising finishes. I reckon from memory there may have even been a podium or two there. And with McLaren, after a strong rookie season, Oscar Piastri stays with the team alongside Lando Norris, as Norris remains as team leader. Norris took his first ever career victory in Brazil last season, is hoping to build on the momentum the team had at the end of the last season, the fight for further victories this season, as now going to Sauber, which is one of the biggest changes. Alfa Romeo has left and Sauber is back, and they have gone back to a classic livery, and they're remaining with Valtteri Bottas and Zhou Guanyu as their drivers, and hopefully 2024 can bring them a little bit better luck than they had last season. And now it's on to Aston Martin, and this is where one of the big driver changes has happened. After Fernando Alonso's retirement shocked the paddock, Nico Hülkenberg has rejoined to the team after being a reserve driver for the squad for a few years, and now joins alongside Stroll, who's now moved up as team leader in the team. And now moving on to Haas F1, they've had some changes too. They've got Nico Hülkenberg to fill a gap with, so they've decided to go for rookie Liam Lawson. Liam has left the Red Bull driver program to take the opportunity of full-time drive with Haas, and Kevin Magnussen has stayed with the team to hopefully build Liam Lawson's career and move the team forward. And it's good to see Haas taking another punt with some young drivers. And now onto AlphaTauri. They've played it safe with a unchanged lineup, keeping the drivers Yuki Tsunoda and Nick De Vries, and they'll be trying to make their way through the Constructors as well. And the final team on the grid, Williams Racing. Logan Sargent has promoted himself up to team leader, and now Ayumu Iwasa, after leaving Brabham Racing after failing to score any points in his rookie season, he's replacing Alex Albon. So we've essentially done a swap with him, as we now take a look at the season 2 calendar. Australia will be opening this the season up, and Formula 1 will be returning to China. Then it's off to Miami, the first of 2 American rounds this year. COTA has been dropped off the calendar. And then we're off to Imola, Monaco, Spain, Canada, Austria, France, Hungary, Belgium, Japan, Qatar, Mexico, Brazil, and then season finale in Vegas. I felt like that was going to be very fitting. I reckon a Vegas finale would have looked absolutely wicked, so we'll have to see how that plans out as we now are back at the HQ, and we're getting ready to head to Australia. And here we are, we're finally back in the car, and we're straight into our practice programs of the season. and at the moment it is looking pretty good for us, showing some great pace on these medium tyres, which will for sure be making a appearance in the Grand Prix. As we actually lose the rear end going through turn 6, and that's thrown us into the wall at turn 7. So definitely not how we've wanted to start our season off, especially at our home race. And as you can see there, I just kind of lost it, got onto the throttle a bit too early, lost the rear, and that sent us into that wall in a very sketchy, well, not sketchy, but a very tight area of the track. No room for error there, as you know, we unfortunately make our way through the garage. Norris, Stroll, Verstappen are your top 3 there in practice, and we find ourselves P14, Alex Albon in P18, so we're not looking too good in the end, actually. So we've got quite a bit of work to go as we now head to qualifying. So now, after a total of only 2 laps in practice, we are going straight into qualifying, and at the end of our first flying lap, you can see that there's a big hurry of cars trying to make it out to start their qualifying session as well, and we put ourselves in between the 2 Williams in P6, but unfortunately that lap time won't stand for too long. We've actually been trying to go for a couple more laps, but unfortunately we just couldn't make a lap stick. We kept either getting held up by traffic as a heap of cars actually go into the pits, as you can see there on the mini-map, so we've dropped down to P17, and that lap on this old set of softs has only been good enough for P15, so we've got a lot of work to do if we want to try and get ourselves into Q2 at our home Grand Prix. And at the moment there's only a minute and a half, so there's enough time for us to do this flying lap, but we'll have to make sure we do an absolute flying cooldown lap. We can't really afford to slow down too much, but thankfully that lap was only just good enough to put us into Q2. That puts us P11. So Carlos Sainz, Lando Norris, and Lewis Hamilton the top 3 in Q1, ourselves P11, just outside that top 10 position in Q1, and Alex Albon unfortunately narrowly missed, extremely narrowly actually, missed out on getting into Q2, so very unfortunate for our new teammate, but we've got plenty of work to do if we want to get this team up the front, as it seems. So now going into Q2, this is going to be our first flying lap. There's a couple of cars leaving the pit lane at the moment, so hopefully they won't be impeding anyone already on a fast lap. And that lap will put us P11 as it stands. But this is one thing I hate about the AI in this game. They just keep racing us. So my next lap, I was 10th and a half up, so I was looking half decent. I still had to go through the 3rd sector, so anything could have happened. But Oscar Piastri obviously wanted to take advantage of my slipstream and overtook us on the back straight, which hampered our lap. So now we've had to go again for another lap. In this lap, we're nearly 3/10 up, and I reckon by the case of this exit, we will be over 3/10. So we are 3/10 of a second up on our best lap time, and that will put us P16. But we really need to try and get another lap in here if we want to be getting ourselves into Q3. And now going through the fast turn 5, and we've had a bit of a tank stop, and that puts us into the wall, and that is another very big crash. So this damage bill for this opening round is not going to be looking good. Thankfully, we haven't been spending too much of our prize money after finishing very well in the constructors last year, so this is definitely going to put a hamper on our race. So hopefully, come race time, we can try and make our way back through the field, because we're going to have to start P16 here. Oscar Piastri is fastest in Q2, so McLaren definitely seems like they've got a lot of good pace at the moment. Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc round out the top 3. And Nico Hülkenberg in the Aston Martin has made it into the top 10 as well. So a wicked performance for Nico Hülkenberg.
Months of rumour and speculation all come to an end today as we return to racing for the opening event of what promises to be an enthralling season. Welcome along then to round 1 of this year's Formula One World Championship. The Melbourne circuit is certainly one that needs to be taken seriously. It's a combination of slippery surfaces and difficult corners, making it a very tricky track when it comes to overtaking. Drivers find it hard to pass and will need to take full advantage of those DRS zones if they want to have any hope of breaking through. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. It's Carlos Sainz in pole position with Charles Leclerc alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Oscar Piastri, Perez, Russell, Hamilton, Ocon, Hülkenberg, Magnussen, Gasly, Bottas, Stroll, Joe, the Rainmaster, Albon, Sargent, Verstappen, Iwasa, Sonoda, Liam Lawson, and Nick de Vries. which of these talented drivers will come out on top today. A new season then, a clean slate where anything could happen. Natalie Pinkham is with me today as we get another year of Formula One underway.
Well, it's clear, very clear conditions, and that makes it clear for the drivers because they don't have to worry and have that added distraction of fickle weather. They can concentrate on the driving and not everything else around them.
Alrighty, so this is when the points are scored. We've seen the grid rundown, and unfortunately we are starting quite a fair bit back from where we ideally really wanted to. I was hoping to try and make it into Q3, but it just wasn't meant to be. We lost it through turn 5 and put it into the wall pretty hard. But as you saw there, we are going for a medium to hard strategy, so I reckon this will probably be the best way. But looking on the top left corner there, it does look like a few people have opted to go for the soft, so maybe a two-stop strategy could possibly on the cards there as well, as I tried to do a pretty good practice start there, but unfortunately it was quite a bit sluggish, that race start, so definitely a little bit rusty on my race start, so hopefully we can make a half-decent start here, and hopefully we'll also make it into the pit box without going too far past. I did that quite a few times in my rookie season, so hopefully we can absolutely nail it there. 0.0, so that is perfect. That is what I need to be doing the entire season as we now look at the lights. 3 red lights, 4 red lights, 5 red lights, and they are out as we get a half-decent start as it seems initially, but then we're kind of bogged down a little bit, so we don't really make up any positions at all, so it kind of looks like it's a bit line of stone at the moment as now we go around the outside of Zhou Guan Yu and Valtteri Bottas are trying to take both Saubers at the same time, but unfortunately Bottas gets a bit of a better exit, so we're just going to have to sit tight behind him at the moment. But as the AI seem to love going for this racing line, we're going to send a couple of dive bombs here and try and get by Magnussen as well, but he's going to keep it up the inside. No, he's going to back out, but up ahead it looks like they're having a bit of a ding-dong battle at the moment as well, so we're going to find ourselves in P12 behind. And looking further up the field now, it is Charles Leclerc currently sitting in P3, so he seems to have had a half-decent start from where he's started. Carlos Sainz is currently leading, and the 2 McLarens are up there in 2nd and 4th as well. I kind of wasn't expecting that. I thought that was going to be a bit of a one-off qualifying pace, and they're going to pretty much immediately just drop off in the race, even though it is only halfway through lap 1. But they seem to have actually got some genuine pace at the moment. And this is now Charles Leclerc. He's looking around the outside of Lando Norris going to turn 11, and he seems to have made it stick so far, and Lando Norris will slot in behind Charles Leclerc there. So it's now a Ferrari 1-2, McLaren 2-3 in this Australian Grand Prix. And up ahead, that looks like it's the 2 Aston Martins going side by side, which is slowing down this little pack in front of us. So we're going to be trying to make up some moves here, and Magnussen's going really slow, so we're going to actually, very sneakily actually, catch him napping a little bit, and we're going to send it up the inside at turn 13. But that will compromise our run a little bit. As you see there, we've lost a lot of pace onto the back of Ocon, but this is Hamilton now. He's battling with the other Alpine, and Charles Leclerc sets the pace, and there's yellow flags behind us, so I wonder if someone's having some early dramas, maybe a bit of damage or something, but I don't think that's the case. That was a big pack, and it's Yuki Tsunoda. He's pulled out of the race, so not a very good look for us as well, because we're running that same engine, the Red Bull Powertrains engine. Remember, we're in partnership with Red Bull, hence the Red Bull drivers, so that's definitely not what we want to see there, as Magnussen's actually attacking us. So our pace on these medium tyres doesn't actually seem to be too good at the moment. This is on board with Yuki Tsunoda going into turn 13. I reckon the car's going to go up in a plume of smoke. He's going slow. Yellow flag's already out, and there's the smoke coming out the back. So unfortunate for Yuki to have a engine failure on the first race of the year, and only 3 laps into the race as well. Don't mind the less. So now we're going to do a bit of an order check here very quickly. So it's a Ferrari 1-2, Sainz Leclerc, McLaren 3-4, Norris Piastri, then it's George Russell, Sergio Perez, Lewis Hamilton, Pierre Gasly, Nico Hulkenberg, and Stroll. The 2 Aston Martins both in the points, P9, P10. Now it's Ocon, myself, and then this is Kevin Magnussen. He's actually under attack now from Max Verstappen, who had to start quite a fair bit back actually. So he's he just made the move for P13, as now Bottas is P15, Iwasa 16th, Zhou, Sargent, Liam Lawson not doing too bad in a Haas in P19 on debut. Definitely not the fastest car on the grid. And then, as you saw there, our teammate's quite a fair big bat too. He's doesn't seem to quite got used to the car quite yet, as now this is Stroll trying to make a move on his teammate Nico Hulkenberg around the outside of turn 3. Very nicely done from the Canadian driver, and the 2 Astons seeming like they've got some half-decent pace. Now back to the front. This is looking like it's Piastri trying to get by Charles Leclerc. So I've actually missed the point. Lando Norris has got back Charles Leclerc, as now we're going to have to cut away from that just slightly, because Max Verstappen has now just breezed by us in that Tag Heuer Red Bull. And unfortunately for us, that just means that our pace on these mediums is dropping off. But to be fair, Verstappen's in a much faster car, so hopefully we can actually try and stick with him, stay in that DRS, and see if he can't drag us forward back to Ocon, because we've been struggling to catch up to Ocon a little bit. As now, this is George Russell trying to make a move on Piastri, I think it is, but he just can't get it done, so Piastri retains the spot at the moment. It looks like Piastri very nicely squeezed him to the inside of turn 1, but now he's going to look around the outside at turn 3, so can he keep his nose there? He's going to go down the inside of turn 4, so very cool stuff at the moment between these two drivers, and George Russell will get the move done on Oscar Piastri. And now to Lando Norris at the front. Is this going to be a change for the lead? Is McLaren going to the lead of the Australian Grand Prix? Yes, they are, using the DRS on this newly redesigned back straight. That was Lando Norris taking the lead. It's now, we've had a DRS failure. Our DRS is open, and it's stuck open. As you can see there, we were struggling to get the car stopped with no rear downforce, so we're going to have to make an early pit stop, and going through turn 12, we're actually going to lose it, and we're going to go for a spin into the gravel. So this is disastrous for our race, and we're going to have to try and very quickly make it back onto the track without losing too much time, and thankfully we weren't collected. But yeah, looking back just then, you can see our DRS is still open, so we're going to have to make a pit stop here. So very unfortunate. This is definitely not what we were after in our home Grand Prix. So this is going to put us way, way back down the order. We're actually already last, because the only car behind us now is Yuki Tsunoda, who DNF'd on lap 3. So this is not where we wanted to be as we now come in for our pit stop. We're going to go early onto the hard tyres. But I think Mark was saying something about doing a 2-stop from now, but I don't want to spend any more times in the pits. I reckon I'm going to see out these hard tyres, possibly to the end of the race. I just want to take advantage of any safety cars if there is going to be one. And there you are. I just lost it going through turn 12. And now this is on board with Magnussen, I believe, who was behind me. And yeah, that looks pretty comical, to be honest, just losing it with DRS open. And look at this for an absolute battle pack. You got overtakes going off P4, I reckon. This is Hamilton now trying to get by Gasly for P7. And then the two Astons were going at it as well. So this is turn 11, that is proving to be quite the hotspot for overtakes coming off of that DRS zone. And as you can see there on the oh, this actually happened while we were having our DRS issue, so you'll notice on the timing there we are dropping down the order. So that was when we were actually in the gravel. So yeah, we missed this, and now they're going to 3 wide into turn 1. This can't end well, and there's a bit of contact there by the looks of it between Hamilton and Gasly, and Hamilton's going to come off worse now, and I would imagine he would almost be under attack now by Stroll. So could Hamilton possibly be trying to make up 2 positions, but in the end will lose one to the Canadian driver of Lance Stroll, who is actually also on the soft tyres, I just noticed. So it's going to be soft tyre versus hard tyre, and hard tyre will take the win at the moment with Hamilton getting by him. And now this is Ocon trying to get himself into the points by getting past Stroll. So Stroll's gone from attacking Hamilton to now under attack by Ocon. So a bit of a table turning events here for the moment, and Stroll's going to have to sit behind the Frenchman as it seems at the moment. And now this is Oscar Piastri, and he's trying to get back past George Russell, and George Russell's had a small moment there on the exit, so maybe Piastri can keep it around the outside where we've only just lost it. You can see our wheel tracks in the gravel though, and they're still going side by side, so this is turning out to be pretty good racing. And in the end, George Russell's going to just be able to keep the position for now, but Oscar Piastri should have DRS, but he's not really gaining on George Russell as it seems. But this is Sergio Perez. He's looking like he's going to be trying to go and get them all, and very briefly they were 3 wide, and somehow George Russell's going to remain in front of those 2 cars. And now this is Carlos Sainz. He's trying to make a move back around the outside of Lando Norris to take this leading position once more. No, but it looks like Lando Norris and that McLaren is going to have the better pace just for now. And just fast forwarding a little bit further, the pit stop phase is opening only on lap 9. So I reckon a 2-stop is very much on the cards. I don't think it's going to work though. I've got a feeling the 1-stop is where you want to be. For the moment, I don't think you're going to gain enough time, especially now around this very fast-flowing circuit with that new back straight. Max Verstappen gets himself past Stroll for P9. And I'm now just wondering when this soft tyre crossover is going to be to where any other tyre is going to be faster, and it looks like that may just be about now, because now Stroll is under attack from Kevin Magnussen, who's on the medium tyre. So maybe that crossover has started, and these soft tyres are only about 10 laps good. So maybe Carlos Sainz has actually hit the nail there with the strategy. Cool. This is Oscar Piastri now. So we must have missed this when we were looking at that previous battle. So Oscar Piastri has managed to get back by George Russell, and this is Lando Norris once again under attack from Charles Leclerc. And we're going to do a bit of an order check here. So it's Piastri, P3. So McLaren 1-3. Very cool indeed. Oscar Piastri, P3. George Russell, 4th. Sergio Perez, Hulkenberg, and Pierre Gasly rounds out that little train there for 3rd. And then it's Ocon in the other Alpine. Max Verstappen and Kevin Magnussen rounds out the top 10 as it stands. Stroll, Bottas, Iwasa. Carlos Sainz is down in 14th, but do remember he's made a pit stop already. Zhou in the Sauber, P16. Liam Lawson on debut so far in P17. And Lewis Hamilton, I reckon he's coming to the pits as well, because he's a bit further back too in P18 as it stands. Albon, our new teammate, P19. De Vries, and then Marcel's in P21 as it stands. And we're immediately going to jump straight back to Charles Leclerc. He's making a move around the outside of Lando Norris. So can this be another change for the lead? And it looks like it is. Charles Leclerc making the move, and this is now Max Verstappen. So this is while the change for the lead was happening. Max Verstappen has got by that Alpine of Ocon, and that looks like a pretty easy move down the inside in that tag your Red Bull. But Ocon's actually going to come back at him here. So I wonder if this is going to be a bit longer of a battle that we did kind of miss trying to watch that battle for the lead. And Ocon's going to now send it down the inside of turn 13, which will put him on the outside of turn 14, which is a bit awkward. So Max Verstappen will keep the position for now. And now this is Lando Norris in P2. Trying to chase down Charles Leclerc, but it looks like that gap is slightly opening up a little bit. So I wonder if he's maybe caught by some dirty air. And he seems to be slowing down. Could this be an issue for Lando Norris, who was trying to go for a race win in the opening race, and he seems to be slowing down, and it looks like he has slowed down and come to a stop, and we're now passing the stricken McLaren. So Lando Norris is out of the Australian Grand Prix. Any DNS out of P2. So he was very much on for a possible race win. So has this handed Charles Leclerc a pretty easy win in the end? We'll have to find out later in the race. Now Carlos Sainz is making the move around the Sauber, but it looks like the Sauber's actually got some pretty good straight line speed, even though Carlos had the DRS. And now looking forward, George Russell's now being promoted to P3, but they'll very quickly turn into P2 if he can make this move stick after the DNF of Lando Norris. And it looks like he will be able to... Oh, Oscar Piastri's actually kept his nose in there, so it looks like this battle's going to be going on. I was fully expecting Oscar to actually back out of that for a second. And they made contact, and they've got each other's wheels stuck. So they're very much holding up Sergio Perez right behind him. And look at that, the people in the pit lane have overtaken him. And so that's... I'm just lost for words. I don't know what has just happened. And now George Russell is actually taking the lead. And he's locked up. He's just thrown away the race lead. And it looks like Sergio Perez is going to get by him as well. So this race is just very quickly turned it up, as now we have a look at the replay of what happened. And yeah, they just locked wheels. It was such a weird incident. And that was just enough maybe to cool down George Russell's tyres just that little bit for him to lock up going to turn 1. Now Max Verstappen makes another overtake. So he's doing a very good recovery drive at the moment from starting outside the points, and he's now finding himself inside the points. Is now back to us. So there is some more people ahead of us making some pit stops, and one being Zhou in the Sauber, and George Russell's made a pit stop as well. We're going to jump George Russell, so and that's also as Mark is telling us to make another pit stop. So Mark definitely wants us to be going on to a 2-stop strategy, but I really want to stay out. Oh, nearly threw it into the wall. That definitely got the heart rate going. It was a very good save, but definitely ruined our run going onto this back straight. So now George Russell's going to make very easy work of taking this position away from us. So I would expect him to drive off into the distances now. This looks like Kevin Magnussen trying to make a move around the outside of Nico Hulkenberg. So maybe the Astons are slightly falling off a little bit here as Magnussen's making the overtake. And now, just fast forwarding a little bit, now we're under attack from Logan Sargent in the Williams. So I would say he's made a pit stop, and now he's making his way through the field as well. So I've kind of shot myself in the foot a little bit here by trying to stay out on these worn hards now, but I'm just really trying to hang out for a safety car to try and get a free pit stop and for him to bunch up the field. As now Sergio Perez makes the move on Esteban Ocon, and now this is going to be Oscar Piastri. Is he going to be trying to make a move on Stroll? And it looks like he will. So Oscar Piastri, after making his pit stop onto the hard tyres, looks like he's going to have some really good pace, and he'll be hoping to try and possibly get a podium, as that McLaren looks like it generally has a lot of pace. And this is Lewis Hamilton now coming into the pits. For him to be going on to a 2-stop, this is, very much a bit later into the race. I was expecting some cars to be coming in for a pit stop. So he's actually now dropped behind George Russell. So, interesting strategy call there from Mercedes. So, they probably know a bit more than me, but I'm also the one trying to make a 1-stop work when it seems like it could very well possibly be a 2-stop race. And I reckon that was Liam Lawson. I reckon he made a bit of contact there because our car got very unsettled under the brakes. So maybe a bit of a rookie error there from Liam Lawson, not knowing exactly when I might be starting to hit the brakes going into that corner. But at the moment, our tyres are absolutely cooked, and we still got 10 laps to go. And there it is. There's Hamilton. So while he was making his pit stop, we were having a little battle. So there's Lewis Hamilton. He's just coming out of the pits ahead of us, ahead of Logan Sargent, and Lawson is going to pretty easily go around outside. And this is Max Verstappen making yet another overtake, looking to put himself into P3 actually around the outside of Pierre Gasly. And it looks like he has made that extremely easily. So that Tag Heuer Red Bull looks like he's got quite a bit of pace. So maybe they could be on for back-to-back constructors once again as Piastri makes yet another overtake. So it looks like he is absolutely cooking at the moment on those hard tyres. As behind him, that looks like it was Stroll going for the move on Kevin Magnussen. So that Haas has found itself inside the top 10, but I'm not sure if it's going to be able to keep itself in the top 10. As now going into turn 11, Magnussen making the overtake once again, and that is Sergio Perez tucked up behind him. So Sergio's lost out quite a bit actually in this pit stop phase, and he's going to be looking to try and get past these guys, but they're battling really hard. And I thought that was going to be the last of the pit stops. This is Carlos Sainz coming in for another pit stop. So he's got himself up back into the podium positions. But I reckon lap 20 going into 21, I reckon that's too late the pit. I don't think he's going to have enough time because he's going to possibly lose out the George Russell here too. He could possibly go down to P11, but in the end he stays P10. And as we've had another DRS failure, so our DRS system needs to be really worked on. Luckily though, I was just about to say, luckily it happened in a non-DRS zone, but that definitely means it's going to slow us down as we run very wide on the exit of turn 10, hampering our exit speed. And now the Sauber of Zhou is going to make very easy work of this position. So hopefully this DRS failure is not going to hamper us too much, but thankfully we don't have to make another pit stop, so we can actually try and fight a little bit for these positions. As this is now Hulkenberg trying to get onto the podium, and it looks like he's going to do it successfully, getting past Pierre Gasly, and now back on board with a Tag Heuer Red Bull. This time it's Sergio Perez, and he's trying to make a move around Kevin Magnussen. And I reckon he's very much probably cooked his tyres trying to battle with Stroll. And Sergio's made very easy work of that move, as well as now looking back to Carlos Sainz. He's going to be wanting to try and definitely be making some overtakes. So he's now currently stuck behind Magnussen and Ocon, who are battling it out for P8, P9, and I reckon Carlos is definitely going to be wanting to try and get around these guys very quickly. So he is definitely stuck in a bit of a DRS chain at the moment. So I'm sure definitely regretting that extra pit stop as Sergio Perez now gets by Stroll. So Perez, the tyre whisperer, is very much whispering to his tyres at the moment and finding very good pace on these hard tyres. And Oscar Piastri is on quite the charge at the moment, trying to make the move on Pierre Gasly, but he didn't quite make it. But he's got another DRS zone now, so he can try and make the move into turn 3. Gasly goes defensive, so Oscar's going to go around the outside, squeeze right up against the wall, and he's going to look around the outside. Can he keep the nose in at turn 4 to try and give himself the inside line? And he keeps to the inside line, and he's going to squeeze out Pierre Gasly just enough for him to have to back out. As George, you see there on the timing, George Russell has made a move inside the top 10 as well. So Carlos Sainz has now finally got past Kevin Magnussen, or has he? Kevin Magnussen looks like he's making it hard, and there's been contact. There's a little bit of contact there on Magnussen's front wing, so I wonder if that's going to be causing too much damage. But pulling up alongside him doesn't look like there's too much damage on the front wing, but I think the contact was made on the other side, so we'll have to find out whether if that did cause a little bit of damage. But with how slow Kevin Magnussen currently is, I would assume there is damage, and Magnussen's in. Magnussen is in, so he's going onto the soft tyres, and that is very unfortunate considering he was inside the points and looking like he was really trying to defend that points paying position. That could have been massive for Haas in the Constructors' Championship if they were going to be having quite the horrid season in the end. As now, that was another move for the points. And up ahead, it's the Sauber versus the Haas, the two Ferrari power unit cars going at it, and we're going to take advantage of Liam Lawson being squeezed out on the exit just slightly, and we're going to make a pretty cheeky move on him as well. And as you can see there, Alex Albon actually followed us through, so Lawson just dropped 2 positions while trying to battle the Sauber of Zhou. And now this is Carlos Sainz trying to make his way through the field, and it looks like Sergio Perez actually hasn't really been able to move past Stroll too fast, because now Sainz is going to be coming back through the field, and he's going to make a very quick move on Stroll, and now a very quick move on Sergio Perez. So maybe Sergio's struggling just that little bit now on those hard tyres. And now this is the final lap of the race. This is Oscar Piastri actually trying to make a move for the final positions on the podium. I really want Hulkenberg to finally get a podium, but it looks like our fellow patriot of Oscar Piastri is going to take that 3rd position away from Nico Hulkenberg as Charles Leclerc comes to claim victory in Australia. And the battling is still going on with Lewis Hamilton and Ocon battling it out for P9, P10. So it looks like Ocon will have to settle for P10 as it stands. And that is going to be George Russell very narrowly missing out on the points. So definitely not the race he was looking to having, considering he was leading for a short period of time. And now back to our onboard, we're going to have to settle for P16 in the end. I reckon that DRS failure really set the tone for the race. We'll just put off sequence.
Right, race over. Take care of the car on the way in. Well, what a drive that was to take the win for Ferrari today. So, Natalie, what do you think helped them deliver this result?
Well, confidence breeds confidence. Success breeds success. They are very much enjoying a purple patch right now.
Ferrari are at it again. An excellent performance at today's Grand Prix, and they're certainly a team that know what they're doing out there.
So there we have it. That is the first race of Season 2. Charles Leclerc claims a victory in Australia. Oscar Piastri, a Australian, on the podium. Absolutely wicked to see. And after all of that, I don't know how he's done it, but Max Verstappen has found himself on the podium. So that is quite the champion's drive. So very well done to Max Verstappen. Nico Hulkenberg, excellent race with Aston Martin claiming P4 in the end, and it was very bad luck with us having that DRS failure. And here we have a look, the top 3, Leclerc, Verstappen, Piastri, then Nico Hulkenberg, bravo Nico, then Gasly, Sainz, Perez, Stroll, Hamilton and Ocon rounding out the points paying positions. And then we have to look a bit further down the field, unfortunately, to find myself and Albon. So we both had a bit of a horrid race in the end, and nothing too much to say about the driver standings as it is the first race of the season. So it's just going to be the finishing positions just for this first round, and then next round we'll definitely start to see some movers and shakers in the standings. As we now go to constructors, it is Ferrari from Red Bull, so Red Bull probably not too happy being second at the moment, definitely wanting to be keeping their P1 status on the field, and we find ourselves P9 in the end without any points. And back to the HQ, we're going to be upgrading the aerodynamics and durability, so we want some extra resource points, and we're also going to be upgrading the materials used on the energy store to hopefully improve its durability. So definitely already very much making the big gains, and we've been asked to choose our rival for the beginning of the season. We've gone for George Russell's. Hopefully we can have some good battles with George throughout these first few rounds and try and get some points up against him. So it will be good to now try and aim for a driver to try and beat during these next few races. And that's going to conclude part 17, this is, of our My Team series. Season 2, first episode done and dusted for Season 2, so let's get on to the season. So I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you in China.